Good morning, dear students. This video is about chemical shift. Please refer the previous video in which I explained about the NMR spectroscopy, how it works. The chemical shift is the concept of shift in the position of NMR signals with reference to the reference peak. Generally, we took one compound as a reference, and from its peak position to our sample's peak, whatever the shift we can observe, that is what we can call it as a chemical shift. And then why do that shift is observed? It is due to the concept called shielding and deshielding. That is because of the presence of electron density around that particular nucleus. It may either shielded or deshielded. What is that? I will discuss further now. The chemical shift value is generally based on a reference compound, and it won't be affected with the field strength. So let's discuss the shielding and deshielding effect. Uh, this NMR is about the nucleus, means protons, which is at the center. As we have discussed that nucleus has spin, and when it is kept in an applied magnetic field, which is B0, depending on the electron density around a particular nucleus. And I just showed you two cases here, where in this picture we have more electron density, and here very less electron density. And the electron also has some spin, and because this charge which is under spin can induce magnetic field, and that induced magnetic field of electron can opposes the applied magnetic field, so that where the electron density is more, the induced field will be more obviously, and then the nucleus will be protected from the applied magnetic field. So that concept of protecting the nucleus by inducing the induced magnetic field that is generated by the spinning electron is called as shielding. Deshielding means the electron density is less here. Obviously, the induced field is also less. So the compound cannot be shielded much as in this case. So this is considered as deshielding. And what happened to the signal? The signal here, as it is shielded, it will move to the lower value of delta. What is that delta scale and all we'll discuss now. So here this value will move towards lower value of delta, whereas the nucleus where the electron density is less, that peak will be observed in the at the higher value of delta value. And the chemical shift mathematically can be calculated, uh, that basically the resonance frequency of the nucleus kept in the magnetic field is given by gamma by 2 pi into B0. So this for a reference compound, we can give it as gamma by 2 pi into B0. But as I told here, the applied magnetic field will not be experienced by the nucleus as equally as what we apply. Here, because of the induced magnetic field, the nucleus will experience less magnetic effect. So, in order to calculate the sample effect, mu effective, that effective magnetic field, whatever experienced by the nucleus, in order to calculate that and its frequency, we use this formula that mu sample is equal to gamma by 2 pi into B naught. It is not experiencing the actual B naught, but it is experiencing B naught into 1 minus sigma. And to calculate the chemical shift, which is represented with a delta, so we use the formula that mu sample minus mu reference is equal to, when we subtract these two formulas, we'll get gamma by 2 pi into B0, 1 minus sigma minus 1. And this 1 get cancelled, and we left over with gamma by 2 pi into B0 into sigma, where this sigma is nothing but the chemical shift, where in some textbooks you can refer it with this symbol, or most of the cases it is represented with the delta. So from where you'll get mu sample minus mu reference is equal to, you can, I told you that mu naught is equal to gamma by 2 pi into B naught. So instead of this gamma by 2 pi into B naught, I just represented mu naught into sigma. So from that I can calculate the sigma, which is nothing but chemical shift, is equal to mu sample minus mu reference by mu 0. Where here the mu sample is the frequency of absorbed electromagnetic radiation by a sample in hertz, and mu reference is the frequency absorbed by the reference compound, and mu naught is the instrumental frequency. And I told that chemical shift is used by you with a reference compound. Generally, TMS, tetramethylsilane, is used as a reference in most of the NMR instruments. And why do we use this? Because here there are 12 protons, all are having same environment, electrons are same, and so that they'll be equally shielded, and we will get one sharp peak, and it has low boiling point, and so that we can easily remove from our sample also. We can extract back that particular TMS from the sample also. So for that, these unique properties, we use tetramethylsilane as a reference compound. And wherever we get that TMS in the spectrum, that position is considered as zero, irrespective of the instrumental frequency. The peak wherever we get for the TMS, that is considered as zero, and all other samples peaks will be lying towards the left side. Means it varies from 0 to 10 or 11, and all other peaks we can observe left to the TMS itself. And here the value, the lower value of delta scale, this is delta scale, the lower value of delta scale is considered as high field, whereas higher value of delta in the delta scale is considered as a low field. Or we can call this high field as the shielded region, and if you get a peak in the down field or low field, we can consider that nucleus is deshielded. I told you if the electron density is more, then obviously it can be shielded, and the shielded nucleus will be observed at high field or up field, means very near to the TMS. Or the nucleus which is not shielded much or deshielded with electron density less, that type of peaks you can observe at the down field. So I used one word that irrespective of the instrumental frequency, the position of the peak will not change, because here if I use an instrument which is run at 300 megahertz, and I got another instrument which ran at 60 megahertz, whatever may be the TMS position it is, wherever maybe the TMS is absorbing the radiation, the frequency of the radiation may be, that position is considered as zero, irrespective of the frequency of the instrument. So if I got a peak here, that is 0 in 300 megahertz. If I got a peak somewhere else here, this in 60 megahertz instrument, that will be considered as a 0. And from that position, whatever maybe the other compound is, I may get another peak at this position, 600 megahertz. I got a peak at 120 in here. The distance between these two peaks is same in different instruments, so that the chemical shift of a given sample is independent of the operating frequency of the NMR spectroscopy. So we don't get confusion that if we use one time a 60 megahertz instrument, another time 300 megahertz, and we may get confusion that I got 600 megahertz once, a peak at 600 megahertz, another time I got at 120 with this instrument, but both are representing the same nucleus, because the distance we consider from the TMS position. So there are a lot of factors that affects the chemical shift, because we are discussing about the electron density, and that electron density may be because of various factors. There can be a directly attaching group, or which is a electron donating group or electron accepting group. So there are a lot of effect factors that affect the chemical shift, but few major concepts we are going to discuss in this, that is inductive effect, magnetic anisotropy, and hydrogen bonding. So the inductive effect is, if we are studying the NMR, we are studying about the proton, where the electron density of a proton may be changing depending on with which type of atom or with which type of functional group it is bonded with. Whether it can be an electron donating group or electron accepting group. Depending on that, the electron density around the proton will change. That effect is called as inductive effect. And if, for suppose, there are few electron withdrawing groups which are high electronegative, like fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, or CF3, or any positive ions, such type of groups can attract the electron towards them. They can withdraw electrons from the proton. So obviously the electron density around the proton will be reduced. As the electron density is less, that peak can move towards the downfield. If electron donating groups are there, like OH, OR, NH2, CH3, they can donate the electron towards that particular proton, so that the electron density will be increases more, and then the peak will be shifted towards the upfield. And depending on the number of such groups, or depending on the electronegativity of a particular functional group, even its delta value is also varies. You can take here, I took an example here which are all electron withdrawing groups. So if as the fluorine is attached with the CH3 group, fluorine has highest electronegativity and its delta value is 4.26. And if it is bonded with OH, it gives us delta value 3.4. If it is chlorine, whose electronegativity is 3.1, and it gives the delta value 3.05. As the electronegativity reduces, the electron withdrawing capacity is also reduces. So obviously the value of delta value is also reducing. Even the effect of the change in the delta value will be affected with the number of the electron withdrawing groups or electron donating groups also. Here I took an example of electron withdrawing, again chlorine. If one chlorine is there, its delta value is 3.05, and if two chlorines are there, its delta value is increasing. Means that nucleus peak shifted towards the downfield. If three more are there, then it still moves towards the left side, means towards the downfield. Its value becomes 7.27. There is another factor that affects the chemical shift is magnetic anisotropy. So this is because of the presence of pi bond, and that pi electrons can induce the magnetic field opposite to the applied magnetic field. Let's take an example of acetylene here. So if for suppose the induced magnetic field is in this direction, the pi electrons can induce in this direction. The magnetic field can be in the opposite direction of the applied magnetic field. So obviously that as it opposes the applied magnetic field, the delta value will be shifted towards the upfield. And generally magnetic anisotropy even can be observed in aromatic compounds also. Then hydrogen bonding. This hydrogen bonding and the peak position, depending on the peak position, we can even identify a compound whether it is having hydrogen bonding or not also. And this will change reduces the electron density around the hydrogen. If this is generally this hydrogen bonding we observed in the alcohols. So if it is ROH, generally if this is connected with a hydrogen with only one oxygen, electron density will be there, enough electron density is there around proton. But as it is shared with this oxygen also, then electron density will be reduces on this proton, and hence its value will be changing. The free alcohols will be observed in 0.5 ppm, but as the electron density is reducing around this proton, it becomes de-shielded and shifts to the downfield, and it will be observed at 5 ppm. And by increasing the temperature, we can remove the hydrogen bonding, and so that we can test whether alcohol group is there or not by increasing the temperature. And even this hydrogen bonding is observed in carboxylic acid groups also. And because of the hydrogen bonding, there will be a formation of dimers in the carboxylic acid groups, so that it shifts towards the downfield, where we can observe the peak for the carboxylic acid in the form of a dimer at 10 to 12 ppm. So these are the various factors which affects the chemical shift, by which we can observe the peak position. Let's see some examples. This is cyclohexane. What we have to consider is how many different types of protons are there. Different in the sense with a different environment. Here this is a cyclohexane where 12 hydrogens are there and all are having same environment. So we will get only one peak as a singlet. If you consider this 2,3-dimethyl-2-butene as an example, there are 12 protons again, and all 12 protons have the same environment. This is connected with the C double bond. This also connected with the same type of environment. This has same environment, and this has also same environment. So we will get again one single peak. If you consider this xylene, paraxylene, where a benzene ring has 4 protons, and this here methyl groups have 6 hydrogens. And this methyl group both will have same environment. So these both 6 will give one peak, and the benzene ring where we have 4 protons, 4 hydrogens, that will give another peak. So you will get 2 peaks for this paraxylene. One must should understand what is its environment and then how many peaks it can give. So here I have 9 hydrogens, where all 9 hydrogens are having same environment in tertiary butyl bromide. So we will get again one peak itself. Check this one, bromopropane. This bromine is connected directly with the first carbon atom, and then second, and then third. So this environment is different because this is connected with bromine very nearby, but the distance between this carbon and this bromine is different, and this carbon, the third carbon atom and the bromine is also different, so that the environment is not same for all the ABC type of protons. So I can expect 3 different peaks. One peak for CH2, this one, and one peak for this CH2, and another peak for this CH3. And in ethanol, you can guess there are 3 different protons, so that you will get the 3 peaks. Thank you.